Thursday Reflection, July 19, 2018. The least is the greatest. An argument arose among the disciples as to which of them was the greatest. But Jesus, aware of their inner thoughts, took a child and put it by his side. Luke 9:46 and 47. Who is the greatest? This is the nature of the argument that took place amongst the disciples in Luke 9:46 to 48. I've always found this conversation to be interesting. The followers of Jesus, those called out specifically by Jesus, were discussing amongst themselves who was the greatest. It would sound like a competition of who was the best or who was the most powerful. As I reflected on this argument, the disciples' focus switched from what truly mattered to what didn't. At the heart of this argument is the matter of self. The focus is not on others, but self. The whole argument goes against the heart of what Jesus has been teaching for the entire time. Love. Love God and love others. How often do we focus on self, forgetting others around us? How often do we make ourselves the center of attention, overlooking that there are others in need of help? How often do we give the non-essential things priority and forget the essential things? So we compete against each other as Christians to ensure that we are the best no matter the cost. We compete against each other at church for positions of recognition and positions of power, and in some cases belittling others in order to be elevated. We speak negatively of persons behind their back to tear them down, while we use that same opportunity to elevate ourselves. When we act without taking into consideration how it might affect others directly or indirectly, we think of self and try to elevate ourselves above others. This is contrary to the ministry of Jesus, which is to love God and love others. There is nothing we can hide from Jesus, as Jesus knows our thoughts. The verse says, "But Jesus, aware of their inner thoughts." Jesus knew their inner thoughts. It was a discussion with the disciples only, but Jesus knew what they were discussing. Can we truly hide anything from God? Jesus knows our heart and what we're discussing with others. Jesus knows if our thoughts or actions are self-centered or selfless. Jesus is aware of those thoughts that seek to promote self and tear down others. Jesus, in response, took a child and placed the child beside him. Jesus took the focus of the disciples and their concern for greatness and placed it on a child, which represents the innocent. Who is the greatest? The greatest are those who are the least among you. Jesus switched back the focus up to loving others, those we consider weak, those we consider helpless, vulnerable, and innocent. Jesus brought them back to what was important, the acceptance and care of others, before we criticize others and think of ourselves as the best. Let us remember the least is the greatest. We are called to love others, and in loving others we show our love for Jesus, and that is what makes us great. Until next week, remember, the least is the greatest.